Hello and welcome to our Winter 2022 Adult Book Buzz. I'm Talia Scherer, Senior Director of Macmillan's Adult Library Marketing Department, and I'm joined today by my favorite Misfit book talkers and colleagues, Amanda Roundtree, Emily Day, and Samantha Slavin. Yay! Happy Half Hour is our weekly book talking series airing every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, where we highlight 4 upcoming adult and YA titles. We're on hiatus for the summer, but we'll be joined by Sarah Gailey when we return on September 13th. Register now for our October 5th Winter 2022 Adult and YA Preview, featuring authors Xochitl Gonzalez and Dana Schwartz. And now, the books.
Okay, first up is The Starless Crown by James Rollins. Yes, that James Rollins, now making his epic fantasy debut with the launch of a 4-book series. You've got 560 pages of speculative science, historical mystery, mythology, and pulse-pounding action. What more do you need to know? The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. The Golden Couple is perfect on the outside, anything but on the inside. And there's nothing we love to see taken down more than perfection. This novel, 2 years in the making, stars a therapist that lost her license because she's so unorthodox, and she only takes on patients that let her into every aspect of their lives and promises to solve the problem in 10 sessions. Olga Dies Dreaming by Xochitl Gonzalez, a debut and a lead title for Flatiron Books that was won at a big auction. This follows a status-driven wedding planner who's unlucky in love, torn between her old neighborhood and her career, as she grapples with an absent mother, her glittering career amongst New York's elite, and her Puerto Rican roots in the wake of Hurricane Maria. This is Crazy Rich Asians meets The Vanishing Half and is coming to Hulu in fall 2022 as a TV series. The KRISTI Affair by Nina de Gramont, a seductive tale of love and revenge about the 11 days in 1926 when Agatha Christie disappeared and no one knows what happened. And that's true, she actually did go missing for a while. But it's really about Archie Christie's mistress, Nan O'Day. She's the main point of view in the book. It's gotten lots of in-house love, plus Kristen Hanna called it a genuine marvel. The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth is a twisty domestic family suspense starring 2 30-something sisters. They meet their father's girlfriend who is younger than them. Their mom is alive but in a nursing home with early onset dementia and has a lot to say about their father. But is she to be believed?
Unmasked by Paul Holes is a memoir of investigating America's toughest cold cases and the rewards and toll of a life-solving crime from the detective who found the Golden State Killer. Paul has a large following thanks to his hit podcast, The Murder Squad, with 1.5 million downloads per episode, TV show The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes, and appearances on the HBO adaptation of I'll Be Gone in the Dark. His fan base is so devoted that they gave him his own hashtag #HotForHoles. Paul frequently appears on the My Favorite Murder podcast and has close ties to the murderino world and its fans. Paul's star continues to rise with forthcoming TV and media news soon to be announced. Four Treasures of the Sky by Jenny Tingwei Zhang is a debut set against the backdrop of the Chinese Exclusion Act, about a Chinese girl fighting to claim her place in the 1880s American West. It is homegoing because it is a powerful, sweeping historical novel about family and the forces that shape us. It's Anna North's Outlawed because it offers a reimagining of the American Western genre and adventure story, showcasing new voices and untold stories. It is Jacqueline Woodson's Red at the Bone because it's a classic coming-of-age tale intertwined with class, race, family history, and status. Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins is the follow-up to the #1 library reads pick, The Wife Upstairs. It is a contemporary island gothic set on an isolated, idyllic paradise with darkness beneath. This is Agatha Christie meets the beach. When 6 friends converge to experience paradise off the grid, what could possibly go wrong? This is for fans of Lucy Foley and Ruth Ware. The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi is a light, uplifting, standalone sci-fi story set in a Jurassic Park-like alternate universe. The Fields by Aaron Young. Set in rural Iowa, The Fields introduces County Detective Sergeant Riley Fisher. This is how she became a cop and her own personal trauma. During an investigation, she recognizes the victim as one of her close friends from childhood. This twisty procedural is about big agriculture, dirty politics, rural blight, and troubled families, and is a la Tana French and Liz Moore.
Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour. LaCour's adult debut novel is a queer love story that follows two women on a star-crossed journey toward one another across the expanse of California. You may know Nina LaCour from her Prince Award-winning We Are Okay, among her many other celebrated YA novels. Yerba Buena is the immortalist because it is centered on the choices siblings make as they decide their destinies. It is Call Me By Your Name because it exposes the vulnerability and aches between two unexpected lovers who fear they may have found the one they never would, true intimacy. And it is Normal People because it is an elegant portrayal of two people magnetically drawn to each other amid class and power dynamics. The Latecomer by Jean Humph Corlitz. 25 years ago, a wealthy newly married couple that can't have kids end up with triplets via IVF. The girls were raised, indulged, and educated, but didn't like each other and can't wait to go to college. Mom freaks out about being an empty nester and decides to bring the fourth embryo into the world, and Phoebe is born. Phoebe investigates the dynamics of this complicated family and unravels things about them that are gasp-worthy. This new novel from Corlitz is in the vein of Meg Wolitzer in that it is more family drama than thriller. A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. This thrilling and original debut asks, what would you do if you found out your father was a serial killer? A Flicker in the Dark is The Wife Upstairs because it is atmospheric suspense infused with Southern charm. It is Girl A because it is about a haunted family history that can't be outrun. It is Sharp Objects because there are unsolved disappearances that hit too close to home. It is The Whisper Man because a town's past crimes unnervingly echo into the present. It is All the Missing Girls because a woman's perfect future is interrupted by old wounds. The Resting Place by Camilla Sten. A woman with face blindness that causes acute anxiety inherits a house she didn't know existed after her grandmother was murdered right in front of her. But by who? This horror thriller is the second book from the Lost Village author Camilla Sten. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. A fairy tale fantasy, both grim and delightful, that opens on 3 impossible tasks. If our heroine can complete these tasks, a witch will give her the tools she needs to kill the prince and free her family from their kingdom, and free her family and their kingdom from its tyrannous ruler at last.
Never Simple, a memoir by Liz Shire. Liz's mother was fascinating, larger than life, and a mentally ill single parent. This memoir is about Liz's complicated relationship with her mother, growing up in 1990s New York City on the Upper East Side, but not the rich part. Devil House by John Darnielle. The lead singer of Mountain Goats and the award-winning author of Wolf in White Van and Universal Harvester returns with a literary horror masterpiece about an author that had a one-hit wonder and now wants to take his glory back. He moves into a house where a double murder happened by teenagers, and now he's locked into a story he doesn't want to tell. Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes is Titanic meets The Shining in space. A woman and her crew board a decades-lost luxury cruiser and find the wreckage of a nightmare that hasn't yet ended. Dead Silence combines the best science fiction with the dread and unpredictability that come with horror. Barnes is a high school librarian and has worked as a bookseller in a variety of bookstores over the course of more than a decade. Spear by Nicola Griffith is an Arthurian fantasy reimagined where the woman becomes a knight. It's in the same vein as smash successes by Madeline Miller and Neil Gaiman. A Very Nice Girl by Imogen Crimp is a debut starring an ambitious young opera singer caught between devotion to her craft and an all-consuming affair with an older man. It's about a millennial woman making her own way in the world, a la Luster and Tessa Moshfegh. We won this book in a very competitive auction as part of a 2-book deal.
Sleepwalk by Dan Choen is a high-speed and darkly comic road trip through a near-future America with a big-hearted mercenary. This is Fargo meets Stephen King meets Station 11. Such a Pretty Smile by KRISTI MEESTER. This psychological horror and feminist thriller is The Push because it examines what happens when women are not believed. It is Whisper Network because it is an incisive look at women's struggle against misogyny. It is The Sanatorium because it is a chilling tale set against the backdrop of horrifying events. It is My Dark Vanessa because it is an intense look at women both victimized and empowered in their battle for equality. It is Promising Young Woman because it is a twisted look at vengeance against predatory men. And it is Hard Candy because it is a complex investigation into the psychology of revenge. The Ark by Tori Hinwood Hone is a witty and funny debut reminiscent of Curtis Sittenfeld's Eligible because it is a comedy of manners. It is After I Do because Happily Ever After is just the beginning. It is In 5 Years because it's about one woman's unforgettable date with destiny. It is When Harry Met Sally because it has the magic and allure of New York City. The Ark is a highly secretive matchmaking service that offers a lifelong compatibility. But what happens after your wish is granted? Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by El Cosimano. The sequel to the Library Reads pick is about a reluctant hit woman, plus now there's a bounty on her ex's head. Real Easy by Marie Rutkowski, a suspenseful and gritty thriller set in a Midwestern strip club in 1999, a la Dennis Lehane and Tana French. This is when a car is run off the road, but only one stripper survives.
Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. This sci-fi thriller is a cross between The Martian and a cloning experiment gone wrong, Rut-Row. Readers of John Scalzi's Red Shirts and Martha Wells' Murderbot series rejoice. In Defense of Witches, The Legacy of the Witch Hunts and Why Women Are Still on Trial by Mona Chalais is a celebration of the witch as a symbol of female rebellion and independence in the face of misogyny and persecution, ranging from Renaissance Europe and Salem witch trials to modern day, focusing on how women have perpetually been targeted for bucking the norms of marriage and motherhood. Last Dance on the Starlight Pier by Sarah Bird. From the beloved author of Daughter of a Queen, Bird's new novel is about the quest for survival, love, family, and self. This is historical fiction set in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Our main character breaks free from her mom and arrives as a nurse in Texas, and there's marathon dancing. Bad Luck Bridesmaid by debut author Allison Rose Greenberg. First and foremost, this is not a rom-com, you've been warned. Bad Luck Bridesmaid offers a modern take on Happily Ever After that celebrates self-love and living your truth, and is about a cursed bridesmaid whose brides never seem to make it all the way down the aisle. She gets one more chance when her best friend decides she's marrying a guy she just met, but as wedding planning goes on, she's plagued with more questions than answers. Can you be a free spirit yet still want a certain future? Can you have love and be loved on your own terms? And how do you wrangle a bossy falcon into doing your bidding? A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. Our hero and heroine navigate their feelings and dental school. We've got a neurodiverse main character and author, and check out these advanced blurbs from rom-com heavy hitters Helen Huang, Rosie Dannon, and Rachel Lynn Solomon. An adorable love story blends sweetness, breathless romance, and moments of striking vulnerability. Stole my heart with this laugh out loud, funny, almost unbearably cute debut, and she made me care about dentistry. And the most intoxicating slow burn I've read in ages.
The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar is about second chances at life and love, starring a single mom who's fired from the hotel management job she loves for something she didn't do, and on impulse takes a job running a brewery hotel on an island in Lake Erie. As she and the owner rebuild the hotel from the ground up, she finally gets to take a chance on a new life and a new love. Swoon-worthy, but with the deep emotional depth that you know and love from Trish Dollar. Good Intentions, a debut by Kasim Ali, is Big Sick meets Nick Hornby, and is about a young man who has hidden a romance from his parents and is unable to choose between familial obligations and the future he truly wants. Never Tell by Selena Montgomery is the reissue of Stacey Abrams' pseudonymous romantic suspense, and a television show based on the novel is in development. Tell Me Everything, the story of a private investigation by Erica Krauss. This is a female private eye story that explores the techniques and moral ambiguities of PI work, including the dramatic impact on the perps, the victims, and PI herself, based on the author's 15 years investigating cases of sexual misconduct. Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher is the first book in a spellbinding new series about being sexy, single, and supernatural in New York City. The trope here is fake dating between two exes, and there's also witchy sisters, shapeshifters, and a lovable cast of pals.
Mecca by Susan Straight. Straight has been a finalist for the National Book Award and LA Times Book Prize for her fiction. In Mecca, she writes about COVID, wildfires, systemic inequality, immigration, gentrification, race, and police violence, and how they're all reckoning with America in parallel stories and characters. Last Resort, a debut by Andrew Lipstein, an aspiring writer, too smart for his own good, steals the idea for his breakthrough novel from an old acquaintance. Oops. Reputation, a debut by Lex Croucher, is Bridgerton crossed with Gossip Girl, crossed with Jane Austen. This Regency-era rom-com and fish out of water in aristocracy story is about sex, consent, belonging, and status. Under Lock and Skeleton Key by Gigi Pandian is the first in a new cozy series from the Agatha, Anthony, Lefty, and Derringer award-winning author about a secret staircase construction company. How cool is that? With lots of food and recipes throughout. Author Gigi Pandian is both Indian and Scottish. How to Love Your Neighbor by Library Reads author Sophie Sullivan. This is an enemies to lovers romance with a dash of Property Brothers. An interior design student gets the opportunity to fix up a charming beach house, and the sexy but grumpy neighbor is going to get in the way of all of her plans.
Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy is The Roommate because it is a sexy and sizzling romance. It is The OC because it is set in a coastal town full of drama, romance, and secrets. It is Ugly Love because it is full of emotion and off-the-charts chemistry. And it is Beautiful Bastard because it features a bad boy worth falling for. Take the Lead by Alexis Daria. The award-winning romance author is writing about dance. It is an opposites attract romance about falling in love on the dance floor, starring a strong, sensitive hero with all the right moves. Pay Dirt Road by debut author Samantha Jane Allen is a small-town mystery set in Texas about recent college grad Annie working at her family's restaurant alongside her grandfather. When a waitress goes missing, Annie and her grandfather begin an investigation. A Tiny Upward Shove by debut author Melissa Chadburn has already received 16 author blurbs. Wow. It's about a young woman named Marina who is dead and transformed into a mythical creature. She must now kill or die because she was murdered by a serial killer and now has unfinished business. This is a queer coming-of-age story inspired by Filipino folklore. Chadburn is Asian American herself and is imbued with magical realism. It's also about the throwaways and the forgotten members of society because Chadburn was also in the foster care system. The Deloriad by debut author Missouri Williams is about an incestuous family clan grasping for survival in post-cataclysm Europe. Bleak, grotesque, and often hilarious, it's a swirl of body horror, gothic depravity, and obsessive imagination. String Follow by Simon Jacobs is a darkly humorous coming-of-age story about an otherworldly force that gets a group of suburban teenagers in Ohio to harness their rage for its own design. But why is this entity pursuing these teenagers, and how will their stories braid together? Narrated by the unnamed evil force and alternating between each of the teenagers, this book has the angst and the snark of Heathers, plus the dark menace of The Outsider and the unflinching intensity of Euphoria. It's about the horrors of high school, the dangerous boredom of teenagers, the dark underbelly of suburbia, while also exploring the intersection of evil and the internet. And that is it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody.